So I'm going to be talking about attention, and attention is a selective focus on one aspect of sensory input while filtering out the other stimuli. And attention also enhances your sensory sensitivity. So an example of an attentional issue is when you receive an incoming text message during a remote class session. So this is an important issue because of attentional blank. So attentional blank is where because you focus your attention on one thing, you're basically blind to the other thing that was happening at the same time. So in this scenario, when you hear that incoming text message, whether it's like a vibration or a ring, your attention is directed to your phone, and at the same time your teacher is teaching, you are not encoding or paying attention to that information that is being taught. So in this example, your auditory sensory system is competing with your visual sensory system, because when you hear your phone, your visual sensory system is directed to your phone because you heard the bang, instead of directing your attention on what the teacher is saying and looking at the teacher. So really, your bottom up and top down attentional processes are competing. So your bottom up processing is basically taking any sensory stimuli and figuring out what to do with that and moving up to higher cognitive functions. And so top-down processing starts with more higher cognitive functions, such as predictions and expectations of what should be going on, and then applying that to the sensory information that you're receiving. So for the most part, both processes are happening all the time, but sometimes one process commands your attention. So in this case, your bottom-up processing commands your attention because the phone is ringing. So when the phone rings, that is the sensory stimuli that demands the attention. And so when the sensory stimuli of the phone ringing during class, your attention is diverted from paying attention to class to the phone ringing. So when you're successfully paying attention to what the professor is saying, instead of listening to your phone ringing, that is when you're successfully implying your top-down processing. So when we think we're multitasking, we're really not. Our brains do not multitask. Our brains can easily and quickly shift between two tasks, so it can seem like you're multitasking, especially when the tasks are relying more on different sensory modalities for different tasks. But however, the time to complete the task, it doubles, and the error increases when you're multitasking. And so the brain, or the attentional networks that are involved in attention, is the attentional pathway, which is called the frontoparietal attention network, which describes bottom-up attention begins with the stimulus input, so in this case, the phone ringing, and then recruits the lateral intraparietal cortex. So the LIP is important for storing a priority map, and this priority map is constructed from a combination of bottom up and top down input on what's important to focus on. And from there, the information is then directed to the frontal eye fields, so that directs eye movement in response to the stimulus presented, and then the information goes to your prefrontal cortex. Top down attention is basically the same pathway. But it's like flipped, so it's generated first in the prefrontal cortex, and then that recruits the frontal eye fields, and then that goes to the lateral intraparietal cortex, and then it goes to the piloviary nucleus of the thalamus, which is important for relays between eye control regions and visual cortices, and then to the superior collicus, which is important for direct control of eye movement, not just reflex actions. And then it is the information is delivered to the visual cortex. So the take-home message really here is to turn off your phone when you're in class.